Hi everyone, welcome to Immigration Talk Show. I am Rajni Bharara, your host, and before I move ahead with our today's show, let me read out a very important disclaimer. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. All right, after this very important disclaimer, welcome back everyone to Immigration Talk Show. We are excited to have you here. Well, now, if you're an employer in industries like hospitality, landscaping, construction, or services, you're in for a treat. Well, you might be thinking that sponsoring foreign workers for green cards is something that only applies to tech positions, right? Well, think again, because today we are going to talk about how you can sponsor foreign workers for essential support roles such as restaurant staff, pool cleaners, and laborers roles that are crucial to the success of your business, yet often overlooked in the green card process. The topic is incredibly timely, and we are about to dive into the details you need to know. Whether you're a small business owner, a part of a large organization, well, the show is all for you. And to break it all down, we are joined by a true expert, Attorney Rani Emandi, an immigration attorney with over 28 years of experience in helping employers and foreign workers navigate the complexities of immigration law. So, without any further ado, let's welcome Rani again on Immigration Talk Show. Hi, Rani, welcome back.
Hi, Rajni. It's a pleasure to be here to provide some information that might be interesting and informative to your viewers.
Of course, it was such a great show last time, and we were so excited to have you back. So it's a pleasure having you on the show again. And, I'm sure our viewers must also be really excited to ask you all the question about today's topic because, our topic for today is quite interesting, and I'm sure it's going to be also very insightful. So, yes, the topic is displayed on screen. How can non-technical professionals benefit from PERM process and other green card options too? So we are going to get into the nitty gritty. But before we do that, guys, I would like to tell you that we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, Instagram, and also on Facebook. And our handle is Immigration Talk Show. So don't forget to subscribe to us. And yes, if you have any questions related to the topic from Attorney Rani Emandi, make sure to drop them in the comment section. We'll be more than happy to take them. And yes, but now, Rani, I would like to come to you again. And, we have so many questions prepared for you, and we would like to ask you so many questions. But before you answer them, I would like to ask you that, what would you like to tell our audiences? What can they expect from today's episode?
I think that the traditional roles for green card, everyone is aware of them. Those are the professional workers, such as technology workers, software engineers, financial analysts, doctors, healthcare workers who, these are the H-1B specialty occupation workers who are typically sponsored after they're being on their work visa for up to 6 years. They want to obviously continue to be in the United States. And
I'm so sorry, Rani, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can you hear me? I'm actually facing some audio issue.
Can you hear me?
I don't know.
Oh.
Yes, I can hear you, but I can see some audio problem.
Okay.
If you can please fix that, maybe, you're facing some problem. Probably, yeah, maybe the microphone got disconnected.
Can you testing,
So,
testing? Can you hear me?
okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but then again, there's some glitch or some sound that we're also getting.
Okay. Let me try this again. Testing.
Yeah, Rani, I can hear you fine, but still there's some noise or
Okay.
there's some problem. Uh-huh.
Let me know what you want me to do.
I mean, it was fine before, but now, suddenly something has went wrong. Hi,
Okay.
Rani, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. I think we can start the show again then. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sounds good now. All right.
Okay,
So,
good.
I was asking you about, what can our viewers expect from today's show? So, if you can please talk about that.
Right. So the traditional thinking, what we've had is the focus has been on green cards, specifically for H-1B specialty occupation workers who are in the country on various professional positions, such as uh, uh, software engineers, programmer analysts, doctors, accountants, financial analysts. So there have been many. There's been the focus on the green cards for such individuals because they're here on that 6-year period for the H-1B, and in order for them to go to the next level and stay in the country before their work visa runs out, they need to transfer to a green card. Now, the issue with that is that it's not been it's been fairly easy or traditional to step into the green card. Now, when we look at other positions, such as you've got cook positions, specialty cook positions. You've got other positions that are at issue. For instance, you've got construction workers. We've also been successful with pool workers. We've been successful with landscape maintenance workers also in terms of the green cards. And these are non-technical positions. So people need to know that these positions are available for the green card process. People need to know that. Oh,
Rani, for okay, thank you so much, Rani, for answering that question. I'm sure our viewers must be really excited to ask you the questions. I can already see Ranjit's question in the comment section. He has posted a long question, which we are going to take in a bit. But before we get into the viewer's question, I would again like to come to you and ask you that if you can please, because I'm sure our viewers know that what PERM is, but still, I would like to ask you that if you can please explain what is PERM labor certification and why is it relevant for non-technical roles like pool cleaners or restaurant staffs?
right. So the normal method of obtaining a green card involves the PERM labor certification. And the PERM labor certification is the main, there are three stages for the green card. The first, the PERM, involves the employer demonstrating that there are no available jobs for the position. And the way that they do that is demonstrating that they've run advertisements for US workers, but these no qualified U.S. workers were available for the position. This process involves a prevailing wage with the U.S. Department of Labor. It involves filing the PERM application, but prior to that, running advertisements for a period of 3 to 6 weeks to even like for 4 months. So that's called the recruitment process. And after the employer is able to demonstrate that there are no U.S. workers available for the position, you file the PERM application. And so this total processing time takes about 1 year, up to 2 years time for the entire PERM process. After that, the second stage is the employer demonstrating their financial ability to pay the prevailing wage for the worker. And that processing time can run anywhere from, it can be as quick in premium processing as, within 2 to 3 weeks, or it can take up to another year. After the PERM process is approved, then you have the adjustment of status application, where the individual is able to ultimately file for their green card and receive it within a year and a half to 2 years. But the processing time varies according to the national, in which country the person is from, because different nationals of different countries have longer wait times. So that's it in a nutshell. That's the green card. But the fact is that you can actually file the same sort of position for the same process, which is the PERM. What you do for a tech worker, any other individual goes through the same process. That's going to be a cook. Typically, you can actually sponsor, an employer can sponsor someone for a specialty cook position, which is an ethnic position, ethnic cook, like that is for, it could be for an Indian cook, it could be for a Jamaican cook, it could be for a Filipino cook. So that processing time, actually, the individual can actually receive their green card within up to 2.5 to 3 years. It is possible within 3 years for such an individual from some country, such as anywhere in the rest of the world, with the exception of India, China, and Philippines, and Mexico, to receive a green card within up to 3 years. So the processing time is fairly good in that regard. And we have been successful with these different types of workers.
Okay, but Rani, I would also like to come here and ask you that how is the PERM process? How does it differ for the technical roles and non-technical roles?
Right. So you might have less advertisements because as part of the recruitment process, which is the PERM process, as I indicated, takes up to a couple of years. The first stage is the advertising, which for professional workers requires a U.S. Department of Labor ad. It requires a prevailing wage. It requires a job order with the U.S. Department of Labor. Then it requires 2 Sunday newspapers in addition to 3 other recruitment methods. So for professional workers, the recruitment period and the steps are lengthier and greater. With the non-traditional positions, which only require they may only require 2 Sunday ads and additional ads. So non-professional positions require less advertisement, interestingly enough. So I actually see some chats, some questions in the chat. Someone's working in a customer service department and they'd wonder if they're eligible for a green card or under EB2 or EB3. Yeah, sure. You would be eligible under EB2 or actually EB3, because as long as you show 2 years of experience as in a position, then you would be qualified for the green card, typically. But don't forget, you have to be able to show that no U.S. workers are available for the position. So why would, for instance, a pool cleaner be able to get a green card? They would not be able to get a green card in Florida because there are enough pool cleaners over in Florida. So we have been successful in obtaining these positions approved in maybe Long Island, because that's not traditional what you can find, the type of positions that you can find there.
Okay, Supriya, Supriya, I think she goes on to say that, could you break down the differences in these categories for someone like me who doesn't have a technical background? What would you like to tell her?
It's going to be, while it's doable, it depends on the geographic region you are from. And if from the geographic region you're from, to see whether there are U.S. workers available for that position. You'll know that yourself. For instance, when you applied for that job, were there tons of U.S. workers? Then that's not going to work for the green card. It has to be, and if your position should be a little more skilled, shall we say. It should be a little more skilled. So that's the other point about it. You should have some sort of skill sets that are important, that may distinguish you from U.S. workers, or that they cannot find qualified U.S. workers in that position.
Okay. So, but Rani, I would also like to come here and ask you that, are there, specific industry trends that suggest, an increase in non-technical workers seeking permanent residency?
Are there some trends in terms of, can you just
specific industry trends? I mean, that suggests that, that there is an increase in, non-technical workers that are seeking maybe permanent residency.
Well, I don't think that there's any trends. Rather, I think that, for us as attorneys, when an employer seeks us out, we will tell the employer, this is feasible for a green card or not. So it's on a case-by-case basis, depending on the type of employer. We have landscape companies that have nurseries. We've been successful with plant nursery workers. Because some of the work that they do is technical. They have to have knowledge of certain pH levels in the soil. They have to also be able to run certain type of equipment. So whenever you get into some technical aspect like that, it can certainly work. Yep.
Okay.
Rajni, I have to put another technical glitch. So give me 1 second. I shall be right back. Give me 1 moment.
If you can put it okay, no problem. Please take your time. Thank you so much for letting us know. And guys, we are live here on Immigration Talk Show. We are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and also on Instagram. The handle is Immigration Talk Show. And if you're enjoying this conversation, if you think this is benefiting you, so make sure to share this video, make sure to like this video, make sure to also subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on all these important platforms, because we are your one-stop destination for any immigration and for all the immigration related videos and all the immigration related news and updates, and also live shows. Yes, we come here every day, with attorneys providing you necessary and timely information regarding a lot of important immigration topics. So make sure you subscribe to us. And yes, We are having a great conversation with Attorney Rani Emandi. I hope you are enjoying the conversation, and make sure to also share this video with someone who you think can benefit from these insights, because right now immigration is the most important topic that is going on, especially in the US. So I think people should have the access to all the information, all the updates that is going on. So make sure to share this video with your friends, family, relatives, with whoever you can, who you think will benefit and will, this video will help them. So yes, I think Attorney Rani is back. Okay, I hope the problem is solved now, Rani.
All good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. So, yes, the next question I wanted to ask you, that is it actually legal and common to file perm for, these type of roles?
Oh, of course. It is, because as long as the purpose behind the immigration law related to supporting green cards for foreign nationals is if the employers are able to demonstrate that there are no US workers available for that position, then it only makes sense that to demonstrate that the foreign national is not displacing US workers. If you're not displacing US workers, there's no negative a negative impact on the US economy. Rather, you're helping the economy become more competitive in the world market. So that's why this test has to take place. It takes place through the green card labor certification process, through the PERM. The employer also has to be able to demonstrate their ability to pay this foreign national. The first stage, I go back to the first stage of the PERM process, and that involves obtaining a prevailing wage from the US Department of Labor. When you obtain a prevailing wage, for that particular position, the employer is presenting, this is the position that he or she is seeking,
Mhm.
and they're trying to find workers for that position because they can't find anybody to meet that position. Then the US Department of Labor will issue a salary that has to be paid for that foreign national based on that specific skill set, education or lack of education, and job title and duties.
Mhm.
So the US employer has to end up paying that full prevailing wage, which is the same that a US worker would have received. And the employer has to be able to demonstrate the ability to pay the salary for that US worker. And in doing so, this again shows that number one, you're not displacing US workers because you're paying the same salary. And first off, you can't even find any US workers for that position. So yeah, it is perfectly within the guidelines of the Immigration and Nationality Act and the guidelines of the U.S. Department of Labor to engage in this process so that employers can find qualified foreign nationals to perform duties and the position that they can't meet uh, through the normal market.
Okay. But then are there, any specific industries or any specific roles that are, less likely to be approved under perm?
Well, again, that goes back to the basic point, which one would envision.
Mhm.
If I want the easiest way to handle this is just someone can say, okay, I work as the manager of this store of a shoe store. Okay, so let's pick that, and then they would say that, well, when I applied for this position, and I say they're a foreign national. Um, the first question is, where would a foreign national be working? Okay, so for the H-1B specialty occupations, you know, say for instance, an accountant. And if you're working as an accountant, the fact is that there are a lot of accountants in America. I mean, it's a standard position in in that field. So what happens is you can't. It's understandable that if you apply for a job as an accountant, you're going to get tons of applicants.
Mhm.
So that may not be the best position. That's not going to be a position that you may very well find as a green card sponsoring position. Rather, we have, instead of accountant, there's a position called an accounting consultant. An accounting it's an accounting consultant position, and they may have different skill sets and technical um, programs and that they may possess. And somehow we've seen approvals for accounting consultants. So there's certain nuances in different fields that work. For instance, technology that is in high demand in the United States. Yes, you have individuals who you have US workers, but you know what? The demand far outweighs the supply. And what we are seeing is, more than 90% of positions for tech in the tech field uh, are worth green card processing. So in the professional field, you're fine. But
Mhm.
once again, if we're talking about other positions, which, uh, a good number of the country are in, and
Mhm.
foreign nationals, if they're in that position, then you do have to ask the question, are there other US workers applying for the same position? And if they are, then it's very unlikely that it's worth sponsoring for a green card.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for answering the question, Rani. With this, I would also like to ask you that, what factors actually influence that whether a non-technical role is, will be eligible for PERM or not?
Well, it goes back to the same criterion and the questions that I just now stated,
Oh,
that if I would tell if an employer contacts, if an employer contacts any immigration attorney,
oh,
the attorneys are going to be able to say, that's not going to work.
uh-huh.
You might have to be a little bit of a subtle change in the position because there are going to be qualified US workers for this position. So we cannot encourage you to file a green card.
Mhm.
So it's going to be, as I said, it's going to be that question in each industry. Uh, we would ask that question as to, is this a viable green card position or not? So it's along those lines.
Okay. So also, Rani, I would like to know from you that what kind of businesses should be paying attention to this right now?
Well, it would be employers who are struggling to retain and find workers. And, we're seeing that in every industry across the board. You are seeing companies struggling. Now, that could be restaurant owners, it could be construction businesses, it could be landscaping companies, it could be the plant nursery sort of companies, but it runs the gamut, and it's a matter of the employer reaching out to an attorney and saying, okay, can I sponsor this foreign national because they do great. Now, we've had a lot of interest from the traditional H-2B visa workers,
Mm-hmm.
where their employers are like, this person's works amazingly for me. And the H-2B visa category is a category for a lot of unskilled positions. It does include the group that I told you, the plant nursery worker. It could be the specialty cook. It could be the landscaper, the construction worker. The reason why is the United States, while they have individuals in this who could work, who are U.S. workers, the problem is the business has a peak load or sometimes an intermittent need. So there's four criterion that qualifies for H-2B visa workers, and when a business meets that requirement of being able to demonstrate that I don't need this person all the time. It's only for seasonal need. It's a one-time need because I'm setting up, or it is a peak load need. Along those lines, that's when the H-2B visa worker positions are available. Now, we have been successful with such positions for green cards because there's a process where you can actually show that these individuals or these positions cannot the employer can't find any real U.S. workers for that position, and we've been successful in filing green cards for those individuals, and they're getting their green cards um, for these unskilled categories. For instance, a specialty cook in a specific nationality kind of, if it could be an Indian cook or a Chinese cook. Well, we can get their green cards within it depends on the nationality, because some countries have a backlog, but you can sponsor such individuals for green cards, and they run through the entire process. So yeah, it is feasible for all kinds of companies to basically conduct some due diligence to see what positions will work for them, what positions they can actually sponsor. But it's going to be a process of and a discussion.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you again for answering the question, Rani. And guys, we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, and also on Instagram. So our handle is Immigration Talk Show. So don't forget to subscribe to us, follow us, and yes, so make sure you give this live show a like and share it with anyone who you think will benefit from these insightful answers of Rani. And also, yes, subscribe to Immigration Talk Show, which is very important. And I see a lot of you have joined us on this show. So make sure if you have any questions that you would like to ask Attorney Rani, you can drop them in the comment section and also give us a call if you would like to ask your questions on, directly to her through call. So you can dial this number, which is 425-436-6335. I would like to repeat it again, 425-436-6335. And you can put the access code 988888. Yes. By giving us a call on this number, we can, put you through and you can directly ask your questions from Attorney Rani. But now coming back to the questions, Rani, so, as an attorney yourself, I mean, I would like to ask from you, from your point of view, do you think, I mean, are there any particular regions or states in the US where you feel that are seeing more demand for non-technical workers to go through the PERM process?
I think that we have, it's very unique. It depends on, no, it's not across the board. It's in the industry. It's about the industry. So I think there are probably, where there are less populated areas, you can say that it's harder to find workers to meet a particular position. So that's one particular situation where it's the region. The region really dictates the availability of U.S. workers. So, for instance, if you advertise for something in New York City versus, Long Island, you may not find the U.S. workers available there, and maybe the green card may be viable for a position over in Long Island versus New York City. So, as I said, it does vary according to the region and the industry.
Oh, okay. All right. And Rani, what are the key legal requirements that employers needs to know before sponsoring someone?
Well, it's important to know that the employer can, number one, be able to pay the prevailing wage of the foreign national. And the prevailing wage is one of the first steps that are taken with the United States Department of Labor, where the employer submits the job title, degree, the job title, duties, and the requirements for the position. And that prevailing wage request can take up to from 4 to 6 months right now. The Department of Labor will issue the salary that needs to be paid to that foreign worker. It's not a salary that has to be paid now. It's a salary that has to be paid upon approval of the green card. And that's so we always evaluate with an employer. This is what we estimate the prevailing wage to be. And if that's the case, let's take a look at your financials, your tax returns for the last year to see if you qualify for that position. So you were able to pay the prevailing wage, because the second stage of the green card is the immigrant petition, where the employer actually has to submit the tax returns of the company to then demonstrate they have the financial ability to sponsor that individual with that prevailing wage. So that's one of the most important steps that have to be taken. And once again, you're demonstrating that no U.S. workers are available for that position, and that the prevailing wage will not harm U.S. workers, because it's a higher wage and it's in line with what U.S. workers are paid. So it should not be something that's lower than what U.S. workers are being paid.
Okay. So, and let's say, if an employer is not following all these rules and regulations precisely, then, are there like bad consequences for him?
There are many, when you're working with an attorney who um, ensures the validity and the legitimacy of the process, you do have steps along the way. The first is clearing the PERM application. So that's once you're clearing the PERM application, you've got obtained the prevailing wage. You place the advertisements. All those steps have to be placed and surpassed and crossed in order to file the PERM application. If there's something that is not in line with the process, then the PERM application could get denied. If you didn't do the right advertisements, if you didn't engage in the full recruitment period, etc. If so that case is going to be denied. So these are the safeguards for U.S. workers that look, the employer is following the rules of the Department of Labor and the Immigration and Nationality Act by taking steps by crossing each stage of the green card process. So that's it's if it's denied at any stage with the financials at the second stage, then it's out. So there are safeguards for the process to ensure the continuity of the process so that the individual obtains their green card and the employer is following the rules.
Okay. Okay. And let's say, if someone wants to sponsor a pool cleaner, so how should they start the process?
So again, first off, we would evaluate, look, which region are you in? We ask the employer, have you placed ads? Are you getting any results? And they would say, no, we can't find anybody. And then that means that, okay, let's move forward. Let's check your financials to see that you can sponsor the prevailing wage. What do you think a pool cleaner should be paid in that particular region? And then we start the prevailing wage process where we check with the employer, they submit the position and the duties to us. And then that is submitted to the U.S. Department of Labor electronically, and that can take up to 4 to 6 months. So that's the first stage. Here's the salary that you have to pay the foreign national once they receive their green card. And if the employer is fine with that, that's at stage 2, the advertisements begin. So that's really the first step to take. And then, you have the other stages to take.
Okay. So, like, is this an option for part-time workers or only full-time roles?
The PERM process is specifically for a full-time worker. It cannot be processed for a part-time worker. That would be probably hurting U.S. workers if we try to get away with that. But it's not available for part-time. It's only for full-time workers.
Okay. But then can part-time workers be sponsored through PERM process? I mean, if they later transition to a full-time employee?
That's a good question. What happens is that, and I want to clarify this, the individual, the PERM or the green card is a future job offer, which means that the individual does not even have to be working for that employer even now. They could even be working part-time, but they don't even need to be working right now. And then the question becomes, well, why are you sponsoring? Well, we know he or she's qualified. We know that they fit our bill. We're willing to wait for them. That is feasible. So the bottom line is, you don't even have to be working for that employer. But of course, realistically, the employer needs help. So probably you would be working with the employer. But it's good to clarify, the person could be sitting in India or a different country or the United Kingdom and can still be processed for a PERM application.
Okay.
So long as they
Okay. So how long does the whole PERM process plus green card process usually take?
The PERM process, as I mentioned earlier, can take up to 18 months currently. So it's about a year and a half it can go, this is the average time. And so it can go to 2 years, it can be a little quicker. So that's the first stage. The second stage is the I-140 process. And if it's premium processing, that can be processed within 2 weeks to a month if you pay if the employer pays the quicker processing fee. And then the last stage, the adjustment of status, normally takes a year and a half. So that's why we say between 3 to 4 years, you can 2.5 to 4 years, you can get the green card processing done and receive your green card. But the last stage depends on which country you're from. As long as you're not from China, India, Mexico, or Philippines, your processing time is fairly quicker. You could receive it within 3.5 to 4 years. Indian nationals currently have a backlog of over a decade. Chinese nationals over almost 4 to 5 years. I think Mexican nationals maybe a couple of years backlog. So that means they cannot file the third stage until they check to see if visa numbers are available based on the visa bulletin, which is a monthly bulletin published by the U.S. Department of State that indicates for each country, for those 4 countries, what the backlog is and when you can file for your last stage.
Okay, but it doesn't differ, depending on the roles or the industry.
There are different categories.
Okay.
Good question and good point. EB2 is, so they have EB1, EB2, EB3, and then they have other workers. So the EB1 is for individuals of extraordinary ability and or who are able to demonstrate extraordinary ability. They have a different processing time for EB1. EB2 are individuals who possess a master's degree or a bachelor's degree and 5 years of experience. So those are professional workers. EB3 is for anyone who possesses a bachelor's degree or 2 years of work experience. So some of these categories fall under EB3. And then otherwise they fall under the other category, and the processing times vary accordingly. Yes.
Okay. But Rani, I would also like to know that what factors could influence the process, could delay the process for non-technical roles?
In terms of delaying the process for non-technical roles, again, it would be maybe recruitment, but really everything is nothing with the exception of just checking your visa bulletin and waiting for that deal to become current. Really, there's no real delays as long as you are following the procedure.
Okay. And also, a very important question, can employers file PERM for someone who's already working for them?
Yes. You can always process for individuals who are working for them as well as individuals who are not working for them. So both ways you can sponsor and process green cards for. Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much for answering those questions, Rani. I still have a little more questions lined up for you. But before we get into that, let me just quickly take maybe some of our viewers' question. So I think you were answering to Supriya. So Supriya has another, she posted one more question. She says, what type of skills, if you can elaborate on it?
That is, the skills for a position are very much, it depends on the type of position. So if for a green card position, if you can then figure out, if I'm working as this manager of this phone store, for instance, now, if I'm working in this position, the question is, what visa am I working on? Maybe you have a tech background. So the more skills you demonstrate, if they are more technical, you always have a better chance of success. If you're doing something that is different from the normal workers, if you have these skills that make the company more competitive, and in doing so, when you have these skills, you are able to distinguish yourself from the rest, and the employer has a need for your particular skills, and that's what's going to separate you. So see where you are different. What are the skills that you have? If it's technical, if it's a programs, if it is some sort of equipment based, that the others do not have. That can distinguish you, and you may be viable. It may be viable for a green card position.
Okay. So, Priya, I hope you have got your answer. If you did, make sure to like this video, share this video with your friend who you think can benefit from these insightful answers. And yes, make sure to subscribe to Immigration Talk Show. And guys, we are here for maybe another 20 minutes. So make sure to post your questions in the comment section, and we are waiting to hear from you. You can also give us a call on the number, which is 425-436-6335, and you can put the access code 988888. Yes, dial this number, subscribe to Immigration Talk Show. And yes, let's get back to our viewers' question. But before I ask the viewers' question, Rani, I would like to again, I have one confusion which I would like to clear. So, what if an employee has been working under, maybe a temporary visa or is under a work authorization? Does this affect the PERM process?
Typically, no. The status of the individual is not does not impact the PERM process. What's important is the person is in status in the United States. If they're on a work visa, whatever it may be, typically they should be here working. And or they worked and then they returned back to their home country. Typically that happens with the H-2B visa workers. They're here only for like 9 months at a time, 9 to 10 months, and then they leave the country. So it's okay if you left, but if you're here and you want to adjust status in the United States, you do have to be on a legitimate work visa. We've got the H1, we've got the O1, we've got the L1. There are many, the TN, well, the TN visa and the E3. There's the E3 visa for foreign nationals from Australia, as well as Canada. And the TN and the E3 do not permit, and Mexico, sorry, the TN is also for Mexican nationals who are professionals. And most likely they've had some specific education and experience. But there are some visas that do not permit dual intent. Dual intent is the ability to work and also have the ability to be sponsored for a permanent position in the United States. So the TN visa holder and the E3 are not permitted do not have dual intent. So they cannot be sponsored for a green card. But what we typically recommend to such nationals is to switch to the H1 visa whenever they make the lottery, and then they'd be eligible for green card sponsorship.
Okay. Thank you again for answering the question, Rani. Let me now quickly take Ranjit's question. So Ranjit says, I am a non-technical professional working in a managerial role at a small business. I have been hearing a lot about PERM process, but I'm not exactly sure how it applies to me. Could you explain how the PERM process can benefit someone in my position, especially when my job doesn't require technical skills? What would you like to tell him?
Well, Ranjit, it could work depending on, we'd have to discuss what your position is. And if it has certain special aspects to it that you think, again, are different from the others, if it's not technical, you really have to distinguish yourself from the other U.S. workers. What is it that makes this position unique about you while you're in it? Do you have these special skills? It doesn't have to be technical, but sometimes if it's a small store and if it's sort of maybe has some ethnic kind of paraphernalia, sometimes we can incorporate the fact that the person has to have a language, a second language, because 50% of if we're able to demonstrate that 50% of the customers actually speak a second language, we're able to incorporate the language requirement which you may possess. So that's one way someone can be sponsored, is also by having this language requirement, where the individuals also, the customers are predominantly in a particular, speak that language. But aside from that, if you do assess your position and well, I really don't have much more that is different, and then it's going to be unlikely to be sponsored for a green card PERM position.
Okay. Okay. Ranjit, I hope you have got your answer. Thank you so much for your question. If you have any more questions, please continue posting them in the follow up in the comment section. Oh, okay. So I think Yuri is also here, and Yuri says, what alternative green card options such as EB1 or EB2 NIW might be available to non technical professionals, and how can they leverage their skills and experience to qualify for these categories?
So the EB1 is definitely something that it doesn't require. There's the EB1A that is for like a scientific position, but you don't have to have education and to be qualifying for that position. You could be a top. It works for the theater. It works for being a top actor. It works for being a top model. You
Mhm.
have to demonstrate, out of 10, there's about several criterion, almost 10 criterion, and you have to meet 3 of the 10 criterion. One of those criterion is having a very high salary, number one. Another criterion is having a lot of media and literature or media or about you. So again, this has nothing to do with having education, but it could be that you are a top artist, and hence you could be a top chef international. You have to be the top 3% in your field, and either nationally or internationally. The standards are pretty high. So if you have the high salary, if you have all this, you won these competitions, if you're a judge of other competitions in your field, and in order to be that judge, you had to be selected, and or you had to be the top in your field. That was another criterion. So you don't have to demonstrate for the EB1 that you have a bachelor's degree. So you don't.
Okay. All right. Thank you again for answering the question, Rani. Yuri, I hope you have got your answer. In case if you're looking for more, please continue posting your follow-ups in the comment section. We'll be happy to take them as well. Meanwhile, I think Jadhav is also here, and Jadhav says, I'm a non-technical professional looking to sponsor my green card through PERM process. Can you walk me through the specific steps I need to take and how my employer can support me in this process given my unique job role and qualification?
Sure, Yadav. Regarding the PERM process, regarding the green card process, there are 3 stages. The first is the PERM application process, which incorporates demonstrating recruitment for the position. And we said you had to obtain your prevailing wage. That takes 4 to 6 months. The employer has to advertise for the position and that particular salary. And then once the PERM is filed online, it's taking up to 12 to 14 months for approval right now. That's why we say the entire process can take up to 18 months for the first stage. The second stage is where the employer has to provide the tax returns for the company, and show that they have the ability to sponsor the position based on that salary. And once that I-140 immigrant petition is approved, which can take anywhere from a month to several months, then you may file the adjustment of status. But if you are a foreign national from India, your wait period can be a decade long at this time. However, if you're from Pakistan, Bangladesh, or any other country other than China, Philippines, your wait period may only be, I think it's only a couple of years behind right now. So you can get your green card fairly quickly if you're not an Indian national or a Chinese national. In terms of the non-technical aspect, that has to be discussed carefully. It has to be a detailed discussion to first assess that your position, how does it fare amongst U.S. workers? Are there many U.S. workers for the position? So that's the way that it has to be assessed and discussed. Your employer and you can be on a call with an attorney to discuss that.
Okay. And Rani, also I would like to know from you that, I mean, while filing the PERM, what common dress code mistakes that people usually make?
I think that if the position is not carefully drafted to reflect the true skills of the individual, then if this person really has great skills and is unique in some way, and it is not translated properly into the actual position, and then that position is advertised for, and then you get U.S. workers, then that's it, game over. Your case is you have no perm application, and you don't have an opportunity for the green card. So this is that's one common issue, is when it's not carefully drafted. A second common issue would be that someone failed to conduct the full recruitment required. That's why it's very explicitly identified. What is the type of recruitment? How many steps are required? A third thing is the advertisement may not, right, the advertisement, even if the ad draft was sent and it does have everything, somehow the newspaper didn't put in the right type of ads. So every aspect has to be carefully monitored. Our team is so analytical, and so we're looking at words to see if one thing is missing amongst all these technical skills. It is very detail oriented and requires such a team like that. In our firm, my senior paralegal is working with an advertisement team, with the newspaper, double checking what's being placed. After that's done, I'm double checking what has been placed, and then when we file the perm, it's so painstakingly detailed that that process has to be carefully supervised.
Wow. Okay. So, guys, if you're looking for, if you're looking for an attorney, so you can also get in touch with Attorney Rani Emandi herself. I mean, you can directly give her a call on the number 212-686-7782. Yes, you can give her a call on the number 212-686-7782. You can also email her. Her email ID is rani@emandilaw.com. You can also visit her website, which is www.emandilaw.com. So make sure to give her a call, write her an email, or also visit her website. She'll be there to help you with your immigration related cases or your immigration related concerns. So now, Rani, I still have one more question from one of our viewer. His name is Sunish. And Sunish says, if an employer has multiple locations and the perm labor certification was approved for a specific job role at one location, but the employee is currently working at a different location with slightly different job duties, what are the potential implications for the I-140 petition and subsequent green card application?
Well,
Yeah.
the fact is that the perm is a test of a geographic location in a job market. If the new location is it's called a different metropolitan statistical area, called an MSA, than what was envisioned for the perm, the case will probably be unapprovable. If you're, however, able to demonstrate the metropolitan statistical area is something within a 60-mile radius of that area. So if the position was just a move from one to another within that area, it's going to be fine. If the position is a different state, forget it. Your I-140 is not going to be approved. So these discussions related to the employer must be carefully thought out. Are we going to be here? Is the employer moving also? If the employer is moving, to what location? But so the answer is, if the position is within the same metropolitan statistical area, then the case will be approved at the second stage. But if it's not, it's unlikely to be approved.
Okay. Okay. So, Sunish, I hope you have got your answer. Thank you so much for your question. If you have a follow up, please, you can still post it in the comment section. We'll be glad to take it. And now it's time for the Facebook questions. So, I would request the control if you can please share the screen and show the Facebook questions. Meanwhile, guys, if you're liking this conversation, if you're liking the insightful answers of Attorney Rani Emandi, so make sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, family, relatives who you think can benefit from all this information. And also, yes, subscribe to Immigration Talk Show on all the platforms. Yes, it's not possible to subscribe to all other platforms because there you won't be having the subscribe options. So make sure to follow them, follow us on all those platforms and subscribe to us on YouTube. Now, coming to the Facebook question, let me take my very first one, which is from Sheku. So, Sheku says, my friend's details EB1, EB1B, I-485 application date 31st January 2025, fingerprint 26 Feb 2025, priority date May 2020. What is the likelihood of getting green card by June 30th? Any information? Or would you like to tell Sheku Rani?
I'd have to check the visa bulletin because it's not something I memorize. That changes monthly. But for the EB1, what was the priority date? What was the priority date?
I think it says 31st January 2025.
No, that's the 40. No, no, May 2020. Well, is he or she a foreign
Oh,
national? Which country? We need to know which country. So if Sheku can identify which country, oh,
yeah, I
India.
think
Okay.
India. Hmm.
Yeah. So January 2020. Oh, well then. We also need to know, these are the things you need to know. Okay, it's EB1. They're currently working on, yeah, EB1B, they're currently working on February 2022 cases. So if that's the case, that means that he filed in January 2025. So then that means that any time now, he or she would receive the green card if the priority date was so if the priority date was May 2020 and the visa bulletin states that Indian nationals are currently being processed for EB1 at February 15, 2022, any date that is prior to that date means that you can file for adjustment of status, which this individual did. And typically within a year and a half to 2 years, the person will receive the green card. So if they filed, when did they file the 485?
I think that
Uh,
was, yeah,
January
31st January.
2020. Oh, yeah. It could happen anywhere within 6 to 8 months to a year.
Okay.
So June is possible. It could be possible into December. It's, these there are thousands and thousands of applications. When they give you a particular date that is being processed, you have to estimate there are thousands of applications before that date. There are thousands of applications, tens and thousands of applications after that date. So no one can indicate that, or everyone needs patience, a little more patience towards the end because it just drags on a little more sometimes.
Right, right. Okay, so thank you so much, Sheku, for your question. Let's move to our next question. So the next question that we have is from the viewer called Shahib, and Shahib says, "What is the current time for EAD if I-485 is pending with USCIS?"
Well, what we're seeing currently is still 6 to 8 months for processing time for employment authorization. When you file an adjustment of status application, you're automatically filing your employment authorization, which will allow you to work and not use your old, your H1 or your L1 or your O1. You can use this employment authorization document. But what we're seeing is of 6 to 8 months.
Okay, okay. So let's move to our next question. The next is from Gadhir, and Gadhir says, "How to apply for EB2 NIW?"
And the national interest waiver is to demonstrate that certain work that this national has, this foreign national has completed, qualifies and advances the national interest in the United States. And that work also has to show it's being supported by peers in the field. You also have to show that you've done something which, for instance, say there's a person who's doing research in the field for COVID, right? And that person has published several publications in journals of noteworthy or prominence. We're not just talking on the internet, we're talking about for the Journal of American Medicine or multiple other prominent magazines. And then they've been speakers at numerous conferences. So it has to be promoting the national interest in the United States. Another interest may be someone who's promoting diabetes, who's not promoting, but who's done great research on diabetes or cancer. So again, it's something that the United States finds to be valuable for them, for the country. And that's what the national interest waiver is about. That falls within the category, the second EB2. And EB2, if you are not from China, India, Mexico, or Philippines, if you file your case, they're right now working on June 2023 cases. And that means that if you file your NIW, I think the processing time might be 18 months or 12 to 14 or 18 months to process the case. But that means that since we're in 2025, that's almost 2 years behind. So once your application for national interest waiver is approved, and since they're processing 2023 cases, by the time that's approved, it means that since that date you file your application is usually called your priority date. And once it's approved, you may have to wait another 6 more months, because as I said, if it takes 18 months and they're working on 2023 cases, wait 6 more months, and then you can file for your adjustment of status application, which again is another probably 6 to 18 months before you get your green card. But yeah, the NIW is another vehicle. It's for people who have demonstrated strong ability and to promote something within the national interest of the United States.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much for answering the question. Rani, let me just quickly move on to the next one. Okay, so the next question that we have is from Mohammed. Mohammed says, "Hello everyone. Has anyone on a non-immigrant visa F1 or J1 with a pending or approved I-140 recently traveled without facing any issues at the airport?" I'm talking about the current time. Well, I think this question is for maybe just the public who has traveled. But as an attorney, what would you like to suggest, Mohammed?
It's certainly not advisable for anyone who is on an F1 student visa or J1 to travel if they have an I-140, which is an immigrant petition pending. The reason why is the law does not permit dual intent for an F1 student. An F1 student it reflects a temporary visa to the United States to study. Technically, while it is possible to file a green card, but the moment they travel, they'll not be permitted back into the country because you're violating the fact that you can't have an immigrant visa. So absolutely, you shouldn't be traveling.
Okay, I think that's an important and most, I think this is one advice that I would say everybody should follow, especially in times like these. So, Mohammed, I hope you do. And let's move to our next question. So, the next question, if we have, okay, that's from Sam. And Sam says, "Hi, everyone. My I-765 got denied over an error on my part, and my I-485 is still pending on RFE, which I responded to over 2 months ago, but the status still hasn't changed. So I don't know if they even received my response." Okay, so he's asking if anyone went through this before. But what would you like to tell Sam, Rani?
Number one, there are two things that Sam can do. Number one, call the USCIS. You can get through. I know it'll take forever, but you have to keep trying at different times and register the fact that you would like to know the status of your case and make sure that the request for evidence has been received. So number one, call. Different times, different days until you get through. Number two, you can also file an online status request through the USCIS portal. I think if you register and have your own account, you are able to request for a status on it. And they typically must respond within 30 to 60 days on the same. So make sure you do that.
Okay, all right. I think that's it from the Facebook questions. I think, Rani, that brings us to the end of our show. But before I let you go, I think we have taken all our viewers' questions, from YouTube and also from Facebook. So yes, that brings us to the end of our show. But before I let you go, I would like to ask from you. I still have two questions. So let me ask you the first one. So, what advice do you have for employers thinking about sponsoring a non-technical worker? What would you like to tell them?
So I think that it's worth a discussion if the employee is valuable to you and you'd like to see the employee not leaving the U.S. because they ran out of time, then it's worth a discussion to strategize how to see whether they're viable, the position is viable for a green card. So it's worth a discussion. Reach out to an attorney and see. That's what we often do. Sometimes we tell the employers, nope, not feasible. Sometimes it's yes. So, but it's worth a discussion.
Okay, so guys, make sure to reach out to Attorney Rani Emandi. She has an experience of over 30 years. So, yes, you can reach out to her if you have any immigration related case. Her details are displayed on the screen. You can note down her phone number, which is 212-686-7782. I would like to repeat it again, 212-686-7782. You can also email her, write her an email. You can email her on at rani@emandilaw.com. Yes, rani@emandilaw.com. You can also visit her website, which is www.emandilaw.com. Well, okay, I think Al Nahar is here from Facebook and he says, can I ask questions, please? Yes, Al Nahar, please go ahead. What would you like to know about? Please drop your question in the comment section. And in the meanwhile, let me come to you, Rani, and let me ask you that, do you have any last advice for our viewers? What would you like to tell them?
Yeah, I think that the most important advice I'd like to give any foreign national is when you're not sure, ask a professional and you should not just when you see something that is upsetting to you on the internet based on questions or answers that people have provided, please don't give it credit or credence or believe in it until you have verified it with an attorney in the field, and make sure it's an attorney. That's number one. Number two, I want to just mention that the EB5 green card it's for an individual who possesses, who's able to invest over 800,000 in the into an economic project in the United States. But those green cards are current right now. That means that anybody with viable funds or family money where different family members can contribute to reach that $800,000, if they invest, the priority date is now current for nationals for the world, which includes India and every other country. So you can get your green card probably within 3 years or less, 2.5 to 3 years. So that's an important point to remember for anyone who does have those funds available. The EB5 green card is current right now. Because, for instance, for EB2, EB3, for Indian nationals, right now they're working on 2013 cases. That's a backlog of 12 years. So here you can get your green card. Of course, it's a very high requirement. So anybody, and of course, you've got the gold card that has been proposed. That's a $5 million capital requirement. So in any event, you do have options. You do have options. But yes, does he have a question? It's okay to file tax while I'm on F1 visa. So the tax aspect is something that needs to be clarified with an accountant because there are certain taxes that are exempt that an F1 student does not have to pay. Probably it's a social security tax, but because I'm not sure because it's more of an accounting question and we don't focus on that, unfortunately. But please check with an accountant.
Okay. Alhar, I hope you have got your answer. In case if you're looking for more, you can continue posting your follow-ups in the comment section. We can take this when we have our next show with Rani. So yes, and we can also reply to your comments. So make sure you continue asking your question. Coming to you, Rani, again, it was such a great episode, very, very insightful. So thank you so much again for being here. And how about, because you have already, you mentioned about the gold card visa. So how about we do that and we take that topic maybe for our next show?
Yeah, we can certainly do that. There's not so much information released on it, frankly speaking, but we'll
Okay.
definitely touch upon it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, sure. Great. Thank you so much again, Rani, for being here. It was, lovely speaking to you. And again, I can't wait for the next episode.
Thank you, Rajni. It's a real pleasure. It's wonderful to be able to provide some information and working with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words. And guys, make sure to get in touch with Rani related to your immigration cases. You can directly contact her for a detailed consultation. Her numbers and her details are displayed on screen. You can note it down. Let me read it out for you. You can call her on 212-686-7782. I would like to repeat it again, 212-686-7782. You can email Rani at rani@emandilaw.com. Yes, rani@emandilaw.com. And you can also visit her website, which is www.emandilaw.com. Yes, and thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. It was a great one, and I really enjoyed taking all your questions. So thank you so much for also participating and asking your questions in the webinar. And hoping to see you real soon. And we are going to come up with another show at 4 o'clock, Daily Immigration Dose. So don't forget to, join us there. But for now, I'll have to take a leave. I'm going to see you all very soon. Until then, take care. And yes, subscribe to Immigration Talk Show.